Wow, Debra's message was powerful. It is powerful. It, in response to and alongside of Spirit, drew Welcome Table into a movement of liberating love and justice for God's beloved who have been pushed for too long to the margins. I believe her words alongside Spirit are still drawing us into a movement of liberating love and justice for God's beloved who have been violently pushed for too long into the margins. On my first Sunday with you all at Welcome Table, I celebrated who you all have been, the revolution of love that you began, and then I quoted our favorite fictional president, President Bartlett, who faithfully asked his community, "What's next? What's next?" Earlier this Pride Month, we asked the question, is Pride a party or a protest? And we answered, of course, yes. So is Debra's sermon our history or our future? And the answer, again, is yes. So I want to reflect a little bit on some of her words, and I want you to hold in your head and in your heart a celebration of what was, and that all-important question, what's next? As Spirit has been faithful to lead us as a community of faith for the future, I will change just a tiny bit of Debra's language as I quote her to be more inclusive of all genders and of all creation, human and non. She said, "We are a community formed by the hands of God Himself. We are a people with a faith for the future. Spirit will draw us into that future if we will listen, and if we will listen with a new ear. If we will stand in solidarity with liberation. Siblings, this is what we believe." She said, "Join me and all of God's children, all of God's creation, human and non." She said, "Let us be a proactive church. A church that stands on behalf of and solidarity with those on the margin, human and non. A church that works without end for liberation. God's promise is the liberation of the world for all people of all genders, all sexualities and family shapes and sizes, all races, and for all of creation, human and non. She said, "Whosoever believes in this God inherits that promise. Whosoever stands in solidarity with the oppressed inhabits that promise. Whosoever works without end alongside the Spirit of love who created this world in love and draws us toward a future of faith and love enlivens that promise of liberation." So, church, Debra's message started you all on a path that would lead many new and exciting places, and through that journey to a radical welcome that would change your name. You became Welcome Table. And as we ask what is next in 2020, I want to pause and sit with our name for a minute. As we ask, is Pride a party or a protest in the midst of the global Black Lives Matter uprising of 2020, I want to sit with the name you all landed on over 5 years ago, the name that Spirit called you to. Welcome Table. Linked in this video is a history of the song, Welcome Table. In short, it is a revolutionary song. It came from a people who were forced to eat garbage from troughs like animals. They were on the literal margins. They were only considered to be a fraction of a human being in the eyes of the law. And they had the audacity to proclaim that they would eat at the welcome table. Their faith in the Jesus of the Bible, despite the fact that Christian faith was used to subjugate them, their faith in the Jesus they saw in the Bible gave them confidence and audacity that one day they would eat at a table of equity, a table overflowing with nourishment and love, a table without class, a table where all are human. All of God's beloved are fully welcome, fully celebrated, fully empowered, not just empowered to eat a good meal, but empowered to live a good life. In 1987, Debra told us we are a people with a faith for the future. Spirit will draw us into that future if we listen, and if we listen with new ears. If we will stand in solidarity with liberation. Siblings, this is what we believe. Join me and join all of God's children, all of God's creation, human and non. Let us be a proactive church. A church that stands on behalf of and in solidarity with all. A church that works without end for liberation for all, human and non. God's promise is the liberation of the world for all people of all genders and sexualities, of all family shapes and sizes, of all races, and for all of creation, that which is human and that which is not human. And whosoever believes in him inherits that promise of a liberated earth. Whoever stands in solidarity with the oppressed inhabits that promise of a liberated earth. Whoever works without end alongside the Spirit of love who created this world in love and draws us towards a future with faith and love enlivens that promise of a liberated earth. Debra said that she had an 80-year vision. We're not quite halfway there. We need renewed vision. Church, we are a part of a denomination that is explicitly committed to being anti-racist. Church, we are a community that is inherently anti-racist. Church, we are a faith organization that named ourselves after a song that is exquisitely anti-racist. And church, we are the beloved of a creator who created all and loved all and is committed to all at their very core, committed to the full liberation of all people and all things. And so we are beloved and called by a creator who is absolutely anti-racist. And so I am inviting us to dig deep into our anti-racist calling that God is calling us to. I want to start by reading the history of the song Welcome Table. Continue by studying and listening. In July, we will have a Zoom Bible study at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays that uses the Poor People Campaign co-chair Liz Theo Harris's Bible study, comparing the last week of Jesus' life to the last year of Dr. King's life. In July, we will have a Zoom book study at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays that will guide us through James Cone's Cross and the Lynching Tree. In July, I will read anti-racist children's stories and post them on YouTube for our kiddos and for our kiddos at heart. In July, I will also shorten our services to be under 45 minutes, followed by 15 minutes of Zoom breakout rooms to chat through what we are hearing Spirit speak to us about our faith for the future. I invite you, if any of these do not speak to you, to find other spaces to listen with new ears and to learn. I invite you to find places to act as well. As you are comfortable, given the pandemic, show up with your body. As you are not comfortable, and this includes me as mama to a vulnerable kiddo, show up electronically. Write letters. Write a letter to the editor. Show up at council meetings on Zoom. Find online places to counsel or to be a chaplain. Hold specific activists in prayer. Support Black organizations. Keep a close ear to how we can actively participate in the Poor People's Campaign. Donate some of the produce from your garden to CHOP. If you are not able to, but would like to donate, let me know and I'll work on a network of care to deliver the goods from your garden. And show up with your soul and with your prayers. Church, COVID is not a time for us to flourish as a church. We will do our best, but it's not who we are. We are an in-person, envelop you in love kind of community. And that love that envelops one another is calling us to distance right now because of COVID. But COVID is a perfect time for reflection, dreaming, listening, grieving, letting that grief grow into love. When COVID is over, we still won't be quite halfway through those 80 years that Debra talked about. When COVID is over, we will need to be asking what's next. So begin asking that in prayer and meditation now. Our faith for the future calls us. Amen.